Armed, masked strangers following people at a train station, a glowing, morphing object in the sky, a woman getting dragged across a shop floor by something unseen, unexplained lights, violent spirits, and waving dolls. This is more disturbing footage that should not exist. In 2015, a very eerie video hit the internet, and it was so strange that people couldn't decide whether the encounter actually happened or if it was all staged. Turns out, it was not a hoax. It was January 28th in Auckland, New Zealand, when a group of film students were shooting at Parnell Railway Station. They noticed a man and woman creeping out of the bushes on the other side of the train tracks. They noticed them immediately because they were wearing white masks, and they were just standing there staring down the students. The students didn't really know what to make of this. Was it a prank, or did the pair of masked weirdos actually have bad intentions? They decided to make their way back to the parking lot, hoping the creepy pair would leave them alone. But they didn't. About 10 minutes later, they noticed they were being followed. They decided to call the police, and armed officers arrived on scene. At one point, there was even a police chopper flying overhead trying to find these two. Seems like a rather extreme response for a call about a pair of people wearing masks, doesn't it? Well, not really. The film students weren't the first ones who called in about this. Other people had seen the couple as well, and the film students didn't realize it at the time, but the pair were armed. Eventually, the masked pair turned themselves in. Police found they were part of a strange Facebook group called the Twins of Atticus. The page has since been taken down, but apparently it was pretty hard to describe. Most of the posts were pretty cryptic. It's a very strange case, and their motives were never made clear. And this has to be one of the strangest UFO videos I've ever seen. There's not a lot of information about this video, but apparently it was filmed somewhere in Cuba. People noticed this bright orange object in the sky, so this man pointed his camera up and zoomed in. At first the thing just looks like a glowing ball, which would already be weird, but then it starts rotating. And it gets even stranger. The object seemingly morphs into what now looks like an aircraft, but the glowing orange part continues rotating at the center. I've really never seen anything like it. But is the footage a hoax? Is it genuine? I'll let you all be the judge. Talk about your workday dragging on. This video comes out of a piñata shop in Mexico. This worker was just minding her own business when suddenly something grabs her leg and violently pulls her into another room. I say something because there's nobody there, and she's being pulled by some kind of unseen force. The shop is owned by a man named Mario Lara, and it's not the first piece of creepy security footage he's posted. I'm sure many of you will recognize this clip. Mario's store has a bit of a reputation now for its paranormal activity. At first, you'd start noticing things were out of place. You'd come in the morning to the shop in total disarray, with piñatas all over the floor. And when it continued happening, he started wondering if someone was sneaking in at night. So he set up a security camera, and that's when he spotted that ghoulish-looking creature poking its head out of the pile of piñatas. It's become a pretty well-known paranormal video online, and even though some people think it's a total hoax, others aren't so sure. This next video comes from Reddit user KitKat9876, who was constantly waking up in the middle of the night feeling like someone was shaking the bed. Eventually, she'd had enough and decided to put up a security camera to see what the hell was going on. And this is what she captured. Now, the video quality ain't great, but you'll notice it looks like there's something under the sheet holding it up, and the sheet goes flat. Doesn't look like her leg though. It's this single vertical section that suddenly disappears, and as if that wasn't weird enough, something that looks a lot like a head pokes out of the sheets. But KitKat was alone that night. Her husband was working out of town. So what exactly did she capture on camera here? We've all seen videos of cats and dogs standing completely still for a long stretch of time, but this is really something else. Posted to the TikTok account Noel the Lamb, this video shows 4 horses standing in their pen completely and utterly frozen in place. I mean, if it weren't for the rain and the horses' tails slightly blowing in the breeze, I'd think this was just a still image. The farmer thinks it's a glitch in the Matrix, and being that she's with these animals day in and day out, I feel like she must be a pretty good judge of what's weird behavior with the animals and what isn't. And there's some interesting comments on this video that add another unsettling layer to the whole thing, like this one. When animals act out of character, I definitely watch more closely to my surroundings. They are the first to know about any bad weather or threats. And this one from Boho Mama, who writes, a horse appearing frozen is often a normal and natural behavior, reflecting a combination of resting, vigilance, and responses to their environment or perceived threats. Threats seems to come up a lot in this comment section, which of course makes me wonder, was something skulking around the farm that day? I mean, what exactly were those horses reacting to? Anyway, what do you all think? Leave your comments down below. This next video comes out of Ciudad Juarez in Mexico in 2014. The footage was captured by a parent filming their kid's baseball game. Now, supposedly, nobody saw anything odd at the time, but looking back at the footage later, the parent noticed this odd figure standing out in the field. See that weird, I guess, cloaked looking thing? Yeah, nobody had seen it with their naked eye, and it looks to be flashing, almost like there's electricity moving through it. It's incredibly weird. Someone made some pretty bold claims, saying it's an interdimensional being or an alien cloaking itself. I have absolutely no idea what to make of this thing, but it is definitely strange. And this next video makes me want to shut my mouth, close my eyes, and cover my ears, because this is just an ungodly amount of insects. This clip comes out of Hunan, China. Good reminder to never take a trip there, I guess. I mean, holy crap. I'd think the world was ending. I mean, imagine just taking one of those electric fly swatters and just wading through that mess. I mean, the thing would probably catch fire. And this last clip comes out of Yemen. It's around 2 in the morning. The guy's sitting behind the counter in his small shop when a woman suddenly walks in. Right away, something about her seems off. She's extremely pale, for one. The way she carries herself is a little unsettling. Now, being pale on its own, it's not that unusual. I mean, just look at me. But the interaction quickly gets strange. The woman asks the man why he's listening to the Quran. Then she moves closer to him, really close. She steps right into his personal space, close enough that the man visibly leans back in his chair, clearly uncomfortable. And that's when she tells him, "Don't be afraid, I'm an angel." After that, she turns as if she's about to leave, but then suddenly stops and asks the man a question. Who passed away? The man looks confused and tells her that nobody's died. The woman asks the same question again, though, almost like she doesn't believe him. He gives the same answer, though. Nobody. Before leaving, she also asks him for some money, but the man tells her he doesn't have anything to give her. Eventually, she walks out of the store. Now, at first glance, this just sounds like a strange late-night encounter. I mean, 2 a.m. at a small corner store, odd people coming in is not exactly unheard of, but according to this store owner, there was one last detail that really disturbed him. When he looked down, he said the woman's feet didn't look normal. He claimed they looked like horse hooves. So the question is, who, or possibly what, actually walked into that store that night? I've seen a lot of orb videos online. Most of them don't really do it for me because it usually just looks like light reflecting off dust, but this video is really something else. Take a look. It was posted to Reddit by trash_scientist who said they got a motion alert from their home security camera and decided to check it, expecting the usual, maybe an animal. Instead, they saw this glowing object drifting through the frame. Trash scientists tried to make sense of it. Their first guess was that it could have been a paper lantern, but the more they watched it, the less that explanation held up. The movement just didn't match. It wasn't floating gently or drifting with the wind. It was moving sharply up and down and across and back up again. It seemed to be changing direction on purpose. The glow coming off the object was also really strong enough to light up the trees behind it in a way that didn't look natural. When the Reddit user got home later, they checked the surrounding yards, expecting to find something, anything that could explain it, but there were no lanterns, no debris, nothing left behind. They also ruled out the obvious stuff. It didn't sound like a drone, the camera picked up no noise at all, and whatever this thing was moving way too close to the trees for that to make sense. And then there was the angle. The neighboring garden sits about a full story lower than theirs, which made it unlikely that it was someone just standing there waving a flashlight around. So So what exactly is this bright glowing orb? I can't say. Share your thoughts in the comments. And speaking of unexplained lights, check these out. What exactly are we looking at here? They're not stars. And scrubbing through the video, you'll notice they change position. Some completely disappear and then reappear in other spots in the sky. The footage was posted to Reddit by main_development42, who wrote, "Pilot here. I was flying out west at 36,000 feet near Denver and saw several of these lights appear and disappear. I was wondering if anyone knew what these things are. I asked air traffic control as well, and they have no clue either. This is my second time encountering these lights, and I'm 1000% sure these are not civil nor military." It's always interesting when pilots see something in the sky that they have no explanation for, as, you know, they're up there all the time. Was this woman pushed by a ghost? So this happened in Chile inside a lawyer's office. A woman named Cecilia Carrasco had gone in for a meeting. As she was walking across the room, out of nowhere, she fell backward. Now, it's one thing to lose your footing and slip while you're walking. The strange part was she was totally still when she fell. It comes completely out of nowhere. I mean, how do you just suddenly fall back like that? Looks more like she was shoved. And according to Cecilia, that's how it felt too. Cecilia's first reaction was the same as anyone's would be. She thought someone had pushed her and then taken off, but when she looked around, there was no one. But she could have sworn someone made contact with her. And it was a nasty fall too. She ended up needing medical attention afterward. Before this, Cecilia didn't believe in anything paranormal, but after it happened, that changed pretty quickly. She later said, "Now I'm worried a ghost might be after me. I have no idea why I was shoved over." Ever heard of a haunted laundry room? This clip was posted to TikTok by J Melilo165, who works at a hospital. The security guard had noticed the washing machines acting very strangely, as in moving on their own. So he gathered some staff around to check out the footage, and boy is it weird.
Come look at the second one. Here comes the second.
Now, it should be noted, the security footage that they're watching has been sped up. But still, that is not a subtle shift. That machine totally changes position, and I love the genuine sounding reaction by the staff here. They're laughing. That's how taken aback they are. They cannot believe what they're witnessing, so they're laughing.
Look, here goes.
It happens.
Look.
This does not happen.
Look.
Look.
It's like Robert De Niro and Joker. You're laughing. The laundry room's haunted and you're laughing. Anyway, probably wouldn't be the acting choice most amateur hoaxers would go with, you know, to laugh. Just feels too genuine to me. But anyway, it doesn't end there. Nothing creepier than a doll moving on its own, right? In this TikTok video posted by Luki201, that's exactly what happened. He'd set up a camera to see what his cat was getting up to when he was at work, and he ended up capturing a lot more than he was bargaining for. And that's not some subtle shifting. That doll is waving. The cat notices it too and goes to investigate. And after staring at the doll for a few moments, it topples over. That cat's braver than me, because I would have been halfway across town by that point. If you ever want to get a job where you're likely to encounter paranormal activity, I think a nursing home would be a good choice. This first video comes from Camila Torres on TikTok. She works at a nursing home. Back in 2019, a resident at the home wanted Camila to capture footage of her blessing one of the rooms. Why did the woman think it needed blessing? Well, the room had a reputation. According to Camila, a lot of weird things would happen in this room. Residents had sudden episodes. A number of them passed away in there, and staff would often get chills walking past it. It got to the point where they didn't house anyone in that room anymore. It was simply referred to as the death room. So a blessing seemed fitting. What Camila captured on camera, though, was downright eerie. Suddenly, the woman's cross swings up into the air, and it doesn't move like it would, with a strong breeze. It looks like someone plucked it up and then let it go. Only there's nobody there, of course. It's just a pitch black room. This insane piece of UAP footage comes out of Paris, where traffic came to a halt with people looking up to try and make sense of what was floating above their heads. It's triangle shaped with lights on each corner, one flashing in the center. Very strange looking object, but it's not the first triangle shaped UFO footage to come out of Paris. This next piece of video is even more incredible, but it was captured way back in 2008. Supposedly this footage stayed buried for about 13 years, quietly suppressed by big tech companies like Google. The footage was recorded in Paris in July of 2008. Story goes the person who filmed it was a military serviceman who chose to stay anonymous. The account that originally posted the clip never uploaded anything else. A lot of people who've looked at the video say it's just CGI, and that's probably the most common explanation, but others argue that the level of detail makes that less probable. The footage looks pretty complex for something that'd just, be thrown on the internet anonymously. I mean, it's not like there's any profit to be made from that. If the footage is real, it appears to be filmed using infrared, specifically the kind where heat shows up as white. The craft also appears to vent steam, and the background doesn't look like a still image. In the distance, there's what appears to be an industrial facility, and the steam rising from it seems to move naturally. Now, does this mean the footage is 100% definitely real? No, it could be hoaxed, but if so, it's very well done. And this object may be more than just a random UFO though. A lot of commenters think it's specifically TR-3B, which is a rumored secret triangular aircraft supposedly developed by the US military. Reports usually describe a large black triangle with lights on each corner and sometimes a glowing circle in the center, moving slowly and almost silently through the sky. The name started appearing in the 90s in discussions about classified aerospace projects, but in those videos, that's basically exactly what the thing looks like. Don't you hate it when your pet will suddenly just stare off at a wall or some random corner in the room for seemingly no reason, frozen in place, visibly concerned and unsettled? It's eerie without a doubt, but this next story takes that to a whole other level. If I woke up at 3 a.m. to find my dog sitting at the top of the stairway staring motionless like this, I'd be moving out of there within the week. This clip comes from VideoChica89 on Instagram. She said she'd been hearing strange sounds at night coming from the stairs, so she set up a nanny cam one night. When she looked over the footage the next morning, a shiver went up her spine. Her dog had sat there staring like that for over 4 hours. And what was he looking at? What was he hearing? She had no idea. But apparently since that night, he's been refusing to use those stairs. This is a rather infamous clip, especially in Thailand. A Thai news station even covered this. It comes from the early days of the internet, back when the internet was a lot creepier, in my opinion. But don't be alarmed by the potato quality of the video. Some people believe a ghost appeared on camera at this small party in Thailand. It looks like the kind of video you'd see posted on Facebook back in the day, just a group of teenagers hanging out. But you'll notice throughout this video, one person has been circled in red, and that's because there's an eerie story connected to him. The guy seen in the circle had been on his motorcycle when he was struck by a pickup truck. He died at the scene. The thing is, that crash happened before he ever made it to the gathering. Nobody found out he died until later. As far as anyone at the party knew, he just never showed up. That's right, they did not see the man circled in red at the time. It was only when they watched the footage that they noticed what could only be described as the spirit of their friend hanging out with the rest of the group. Some believe it was his ghost, who drifted to the party after the accident, not realizing that he died.
Sauce90 is a TikToker who just so happens to work on these giant boats in the ocean. Now, he's had a lot of terrifying encounters with some sort of creatures out there, and many think these creatures are mermaids or sirens. Now, he recorded a video with 2 creatures swimming on either side of the huge ship. Now, they were moving very quickly, keeping up the pace, which is honestly insane. He knew that they weren't dolphins or anything and asked people for help in identifying them, and a lot of people speculated, hey, these could be mermaids. Then there was another video he made with these same 2 swimming creatures, and they were making the strangest noises ever. Now, this made people think that they were sirens, as sirens are said to sing songs to hypnotize sailors and make them go into the water. Now, the noises are truly unsettling, and in one clip you can hear one of them say, "Jump for me," I would go back inside the boat and never come out again, because again, that is just terrifying and freaky and makes me think that they're evil. Then there was the mermaid story from Tony Woods. Tony is a comedian, but I can promise you he wasn't joking about any of this. Now, when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, he explained that he had seen a mermaid, or what he calls a merman, in real life in Seychelles, Africa. He was with a little French boy, and people in the community said don't swim in the lagoon after dark. He then said that there was a lot of people at the bar and that he and the boy raced down to the lagoon, which they were warned about, but they didn't listen. While down there, they saw something swimming fast and it then jumped out of the water. He said it was at least 10 to 12 feet long and made eye contact with him. Now, obviously, the pair got scared and went back to the bar where everyone was, but no one believed them. The boy's mother apologized, saying he had an overactive imagination, but Tony swears that he saw this creature too. He said it wasn't a mermaid, but a merman, that it had dark skin and was half human, half fish. His head was humanoid, eyes were so big. Now, Tony says he's not the only one to have seen something like that in the area, which makes him believe what he saw was even more real. And I mean, the way that he tells this story, the body language, the inflection, it just feels so real to me. And we do know that there have been multiple sightings in Africa of mermaids, and all I can say is at least Tony had a witness with him when he saw what he saw, but wow, what a crazy story. And then a user on Reddit told this story that is absolutely terrifying. They said that they saw a mermaid once in 2004 when they were in Jamaica. They were at a bridge called Flat Bridge, which is known for its mermaid sightings. Now, they decided to go close to the water, and as they got closer, they saw a woman resting beside a rock. They described her as having her hair being red and her skin very dark. Now, as they got closer, they realized that she was a fishy type of woman with dark eyes. Now, this obviously scared the user, and they said they almost passed out from fear. They then screamed mermaid over and over and over again, and the creature became scared and swam away really fast. Now, the user thought that they were going crazy, but spoke to the locals, who told them that mermaids do exist and that it's normal in Jamaica. They then said not to get too close or the mermaids could take you underwater. And yeah, I think I'd have the same reaction as this person, because that is terrifying. Mermaids are real. Don't believe me? Well, what about this recent sighting in Australia? I mean, a mermaid literally washed up on a beach there. In July 2023, photos of a creature resembling a mermaid alien washed ashore on an Australian beach. Now, the image came to light via a post in the Marine Biology Facebook group, and it was exactly like a mermaid shape, said uploader Bobby Lee Oates, 34, of the skeletal remains, which she stumbled across while walking along the beach in Couple Sands, Queensland. We were driving along the beach looking for a campsite, and we couldn't help but notice how much the skull looked to be in the shape of a human, she recalled. So we instantly stopped from the confusion as to what the hell this could be, and why does this look like a human skull? Now, Bobby Lee, who estimated that the creature was 6 feet long, described it by saying it had a human-shaped skull with an elongated jawline, and hair similar to the color of a cow or kangaroo, but with hair missing in many places due to decomposition. She continued by saying it was exactly like a mermaid shape, but hairy, because it seemed to have a tail or limb of some sort. Now, she posted the image to try to figure out what the creature was, but never got a definitive answer. So could this be some sort of mermaid? I think so.
Step number 10, doorbell lawn camera. We'll start with a recent doorbell cam recording, okay? Those are always terrifying. Every time I see one of these, first of all, I think of the Paranormal Activity franchise. I get so creeped out just looking at them. This video was submitted by Robert Parks. Now, it shows the lawn, his front lawn, around 4 a.m. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a naked man appears. That's always fun. Yeah, he was trying to cover up his, goods, or not goods rather, but given the fact that he was still, naked, it was pretty horrifying after the fact. You can't hear it because we had to mute the audio, obviously, but he's yelling about snakes being all over him. Yeah, luckily police arrived and gave the man the help he needed, but imagine somebody going through a rough time. Like, I feel bad, but you also have to stay safe at the same time. You can't have a naked dude running inside your home talking about snakes on a plane or whatever. Number 9, Bigfoot caught on tape. This video is said to have caught the Russian Bigfoot himself. Also, Russian Bigfoot, Another Bigfoot? Are there many Bigfoots? We'll talk later. The exact location of where this video was taken is still unknown. In fact, there isn't a ton known about this video at all, hence why it's on our list today. But what we do know is that it was taken somewhere in Russia and that people believe it captures the real Bigfoot. It's a short clip that captures him, so I'm just gonna show you guys and then you can decide for yourselves. Comment down below. I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence personally. If Bigfoot was real, it's time we pay up. I mean, come on. This man's image has been used in the media for years. How is he paying his bills? Also, is there one Bigfoot or multiple? Is there a Russian Bigfoot? Is there a Canadian Bigfoot? Is Chris the Canadian Bigfoot? I don't know. Maybe. He wears a lot of plaid, who knows? Number 8, Matt doesn't live here. Okay, this one I need your help on. There's a backstory that I need to figure out right now. Back in 2016, in the middle of an August summer night, this man approaches. Again, topless, always a great sign, just naked dudes approaching homes all of a sudden. And he's slowly approaching and he's looking back at somebody off camera. He has a look like he's about to rob the place almost. He's doing this. He's kind of tiptoeing in and out, it's not looking good. But instead of knocking and running like we all did when we were 15 years old, he pretends to knock. He knocks the air and then pretends to ask somebody who's not there if Matt is home. I don't know if he did this so the other person could see, maybe it was like a prank or a dare, or maybe it was an attempt to break in and we just didn't really connect all the dots, or he didn't follow through with the plan, or he chickened out, I don't know. Either way, I'm glad nothing really bad happened. So creepy, either way. Number 7, Milgram experiment footage. This video comes to us from the 1960s and it's apparently from the experiment known as the Milgram experiment. Basically, the premise was that they got two groups of people, okay? One called the teachers and one called the learners. And they paired them up, one from each group. So far, so good? Awesome. The pair couldn't see each other, but the teacher would ask the learner a question. The teacher was then told to give them an electrical shock. Yeah, every question made the shocks get worse and worse until an eventual fatal shock would be administered.
It'll be 195 volts. The correct one.
Let me out of here.
Slow.
Get me
Dance.
out of here. My heart's bothering me.
Now, before the experiment, it was proposed that only 3% of the participants would go all the way and would actually give the fatal shock. But it turned out that under pressure, 65% of the teachers actually gave the lethal dose of electricity to their learner counterparts. Now, luckily the students were actually just actors, so nobody was truly getting hurt here, hence the experiment. But it is honestly very creepy to see on footage. We always heard about this, but seeing it happen, it does something in here that I don't really like. Number 6, TV head. Stepping away from the worst of the worst or the weird or whatever's going on in that last video, let's shine the spotlight on some, I guess, creative happenings, dare I say? Like for example, the guy wearing a TV on his head. Apparently that's a thing now. Awesome. In Toronto, we have a guy that walks backwards around the city. And then here in Virginia, they have a guy who wears a TV on their head. So back in 2019, this man would appear all over in Virginia. He visited more than 50 residents in his time, and he would show up with a TV as a head, and then if that wasn't already creepy enough, he would leave an old TV on your doorstep in the middle of the night, and then just leave. That's so annoying to move. Also, it is pretty creepy. Many believe this man was inspired by the comic book series Saga. There's a race of TV alien heads. This could be a fan of, Prince Robot IV. Either way, this is annoying. You're walking on our property, you're leaving TVs. I wouldn't lift this up. Are you kidding? My brittle back? I couldn't lift a TV. I can't even lift a laptop now. Get out of here.
In our number 10 spot, we have Superman or UFO. You may not know this, but all of the top secret government information gets declassified after 25 years. Yes, after it's basically useless to know, as I'm sure there is much more relevant information to note. But sometimes, every so often, the government drops us little breadcrumbs to keep us on our toes. Whether the CIA is okay with it, well, we will never know. But earlier this year, 2022, a press conference was held to speak about some recent footage showing unidentifiable objects in the sky. This first video shows an object in the sky that's just sort of floating by, and then all of a sudden it zooms out of frame. The government has put more money into the study of this unidentifiable aerial object in the last while, but they still have no idea what is flying in this video. Is it not a bird or plane? And no, it is not Superman. I wish. Only, of course, if it's Henry Cavill though. Boy, is he dreamy. This footage was out to the public more than a year ago, before the Pentagon revealed that it's legitimate, and they probably only did so because of the pressure from the public to tell the truth. In our number 9 spot, we have the US Navy UFO footage. Again, Apparently the US Navy recorded some aerial footage where you see triangles flashing in the sky. The footage is recorded with night vision goggles, and it came right after the Navy reported a number of unidentifiable objects in the area off the US coast. What exactly these objects are remains unsolved. Clearly they are UFOs, but of course the CIA and the government will do everything they can to avoid saying those words. If it ain't from this planet, then it must be from somewhere else. I bet you an alien will actually land here at some point and they'll still be hesitant to admit the truth. An unidentifiable being was seen walking around, they'll say. In our number 8 spot we have Kenny Veach. This is a video of a guy by the name of Kenny Veach who went missing after going for a hike near the infamous Area 51. This video gained some popularity because in it, Kenny described that he was searching for a mysterious cave that he once came across where he felt a very strange force field around it. He described how he felt like he was getting hot from the inside, and as he got closer to it, it got worse, and so he quickly ran away. In this video, he's on the hunt for the cave again, but after the video was posted, Kenny went missing. He was on a 3-day hiking trip to find this cave when suddenly everyone stopped hearing from him. There are many conspiracy theories over this. Some say he found the cave, and if it really did have that force field around it, then it could have obliterated him. People believe that this cave and force field is linked to the mysteriousness of Area 51. Even though Kenny's girlfriend shared that Kenny had depression and suspects that he took his own life, we don't know if that's real or not, as the CIA could be covering up for the fact that Kenny found a way into Area 51. It's super sus that everyone's seemingly onto something just takes their own life. In our number 7 spot we have Isaac Kappy. Isaac Kappy is an American actor that was best known for being in Thor and a bunch of other prominent productions. He's also best known for being a Hollywood whistleblower and speaking about what goes on in Hollywood. You know, the Harvey Weinstein goings on, that kind of thing. Calling out such names as Seth Green and Steven Spielberg. Isaac started to receive death threats and spoke about how he might be killed. Then all of a sudden he made a video talking about how there's now darkness within him and that this video would be his last video. He also spoke about how he was not thinking about taking his own life, in case anyone says that he is, which is what makes this video even more curious. There is much speculation as to whether he ended up taking his own life or whether he was actually killed. All that's clear is this last video of him and all of his YouTube content has been suppressed online. Why? Perhaps because they don't want what he previously spoke about to be public knowledge. Perhaps. In our number 6 spot we have Obama's security shapeshifter. In 2012, at the US-Israel Policy Conference, President Obama was making a speech, and while he was doing so, the cameras caught something very extraordinary. Every so often the cameras would pan out into the audience and show the audience, of course, but also the security guards. In one shot, the camera catches one of the bodyguards from behind, looking completely different than he did from the front. We see a bald man with no ears and a pointy chin. His nose looks short and rounded and his eyes appear to be dark and sunken in. Most think that because it was so dark and crowded that people would have missed this and that the camera caught this shapeshifter in a blip of a moment in its true form. But of course, this footage has been suppressed from the public and people believe the CIA is concerned with this getting out because it confirms an alien race. 5 spot we have the time traveler from 1938. In this clip we see a group of girls walking and talking, and one of the girls in particular is walking and talking into what looks to be a cell phone. Yes, a cell phone in 1938. The first cell phone is only known to have been invented in 1973, so the fact that she's talking on what looks to be a flip phone is impossible. Right? Well, even though this video has made its rounds online, it's still quite suppressed and it's surprising how people have still not seen it. Could it possibly be due to the fact that it exposes that time travel may exist? that would certainly be concerning to the CIA. Which brings me to our number 4 spot, the 1928 time traveler. This video clip is from an older movie and time than the time traveler clip before, but it is no less suspicious. It is yet another clip that has been suppressed due to the nature of it possibly being concerning to the CIA or anyone wanting time travel to be covered up. It's a clip from a Charlie Chaplin movie called The Circus, where a rather fancy dressed woman is talking into a device that is being held to her ear. Now you could say, could that not be a walkie-talkie if not a cell phone? Nope. Even the walkie-talkie wasn't invented until the 30s. This woman is without a doubt talking into a device held to her ear, and so if it is not a portable phone, then I have no idea what it is. What do you think she's holding in her hand and talking to? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. In our number 3 spot, we have the alleyway shapeshifter. Okay, this is one of the craziest videos I have ever seen of a shapeshifter, and it's wild to me that this video has been suppressed. Well, maybe not wild, because I guess the shapeshifters clearly don't want people to know that they exist, and so, they throw themselves into movie plots like Captain Marvel so you don't think twice about the idea of their existence, and you chalk it up to an idea being something that you just see in movies. So I suppose it's not that surprising that this video is not more known. Anyways, here we have footage of a person that goes into an alleyway that is semi-lit and stands still, and then what appears to be a dark shadow leaves its body and walks away, and the person remains frozen. This clip has been heavily debated for some time now, but apparently it's completely authentic and kinda unexplainable. Of course, the CIA would be concerned about it. In our number 2 spot, we have the NBC shapeshifter. This is a crazy clip from 1995 that is one of the first reptile men clips you can find on the internet. If you haven't ever heard of the theory of the reptile man, well, it goes like this. People believe that as far back as the ancient Mesopotamia times that reptile people have existed among us humans. A lot of people believe that Hollywood is specifically where a lot of them reside. Anyways, this is a clip of an NBC reporter from the 90s by the name of Isaiah Carey, who was in the middle of filming when he swallowed a grasshopper. If you zoom in to the point where he swallows it, you can observe him having an abnormally large, somewhat pointy tongue, and the color is slightly green. The reporter turned away from the camera right as this happened. Most people think that he turned away from the camera to hide his tongue, which is possible, but one could argue that it's more likely because this is something so gross and embarrassing that happened on live TV. Do you think this is a reptile man and perhaps the CIA has suppressed this video due to the fact that it could reveal this alien race? Let me know in the comment section down below. In our number 1 spot, we have the fast UFO. This is more footage that the US government released showing an unidentifiable object in the sky. In this footage, you actually see an object moving in the sky, and we can kind of pick up on the fact that it's an unusual shape. This particular UFO is moving pretty fast, and the camera is having a hard time keeping up. There's no question though that this is something that we've never seen before. The Pentagon wouldn't have released it if it didn't feel that it has validity. This was the final of the 3 Pentagon videos that were declassified and shared with us common folk. Oh, why thank you government for telling us that it's possible that alien life has come to Earth. As if we didn't already know this, and as if we are not aware of the fact that you definitely have more footage that you're keeping from us, CIA.
Just what is it we're looking at here? Well, this aired on a local news station in Pueblo, Colorado, and the anchors were genuinely confused, as were a lot of people watching, as to what they were looking at. It's some weird looking animal with patchy black fur, a reddish face, and long skinny arms hunched over eating something off the ground. Apparently the woman who filmed the creature had actually seen it once before, but she had no idea what it was either. Other than an animal with mange, the word chupacabra was thrown around a lot. Well, later on, Colorado Parks and Wildlife officials looked into it and said the animal was probably a raccoon with mange. Mange is a skin disease that can cause animals to lose most of their fur and look pretty rough. I mean, you take the cutest furry animal on Earth, shave all its hair off, and it looks pretty damn freaky. This image here was shared on news stations all over the world. Nobody knew what the hell this thing was when news first broke, and nobody knows what it is now, but it's since become known as the unidentified Amarillo object. In 2022, the Amarillo Zoo in Texas got a lot of attention after they shared a strange image caught on their security cameras. The picture was taken at 1:25 a.m. by a motion detecting camera, showing a bizarre figure walking just outside the zoo fence. And what's creepy is that it's walking on two legs. Clearly though, this is not a person, unless they're wearing a costume, which is an odd thing to be doing at 1:30 in the morning, skulking around a zoo. When the zoo posted the image on Twitter, they leaned into the mystery, asking, is it a person with a strange hat who likes to walk at night, a chupacabra? Do you have any ideas of what this UAO, unidentified Amarillo object, could be? The zoo never outright claimed it was anything supernatural or like a cryptid or anything, but they didn't offer up any solid explanations either, because they didn't have one. Now, could this have been a weird marketing stunt? Maybe, but city officials and the zoo's director, Michael Kashiba, insisted the photo was not staged. And 3 years later, we still don't have any solid answers. Back in 2014, ABC7 covered a story about a strange creature captured by a couple in South Texas. Jackie Stocks told the news crew that her husband spotted a weird creature in the yard eating corn. The husband said he'd hunted raccoons and said he'd never heard one growl like this before.
Harma says one of the big signs it's not a raccoon is its growl.
Now, they also interviewed an apparent wildlife expert who looked at footage of the strange animal and said it was probably a canine with mange. Thing is, canines do not use their hands the way this thing does. I mean, have you ever seen your dog eat like this? I didn't think so. Wildlife expert? Maybe go get a new career? I don't know. This footage was shown on One India News a few years ago. In Jharkhand, a group of bikers were riding along late at night when they saw this person walking along the side of the road. The video is pretty grainy, but you can still make out the figure. It looks pale, extremely thin, and moves in this weird, unnatural way. It doesn't seem to move its arms. It's like that character in Seinfeld that doesn't move when they walk. When it turns its head, it also seems to have these glowing yellowish eyes. So people online started commenting that this thing looked a lot like an alien. Of course, no one knows for sure what the bikers caught on camera, but whatever it is, I would be very uncomfortable seeing it anywhere at any time, let alone a rural road in the middle of the night. Back in 2019, 9 News Australia ran a story about a pub called the Tyler's Kiln. The pub is owned by a man named Alistair Collins, who's pretty convinced that the place is haunted. Collins had a whole collection of late-night security footage showing some really odd stuff happening after hours. Chairs are seen sliding out from tables all by themselves. Umbrellas suddenly pop open with no one around, and doors slam shut even though the place is completely empty. One of the news anchors even tried to recreate the chair moving like it did in the footage, but he couldn't really pull it off. The ground is just too uneven to smoothly drag the chair like that, and setting up a string or some trick would have been pretty tough without showing up on camera. They also tested how the umbrella could have opened on its own and figured it would have been nearly impossible to pull off without someone being caught in the frame. The creepiest story probably came from an electrician who was working there during some renovations. He heard small doors swinging near the kitchen and loud footsteps heading upstairs. He thought the only other person in the building had, of course, gone upstairs, but when he called out, said person came walking out of the kitchen right in front of him. So what was going on up there? Well, they went upstairs to check, and no one was there. The whole top floor was completely empty. I love stories like that. This next piece of footage still gets shared around online from time to time. Back in 2016, something strange happened during a Sky Sports broadcast. After a game, pundits Jamie Carragher and Phil Neville were chatting about the match, as sports commentators do, but eagle-eyed viewers at home noticed something weird in the background. There was a shadowy figure moving across the empty field. At first, it just looked like a regular groundskeeper doing cleanup, pushing equipment across the grass, but then the dude just vanishes. Viewers immediately jumped online to talk about what they saw. One person wrote, "Did anyone else notice the ghost groundsman?" Another said, "Monday Night Football, keep an eye out. There's an effing ghost groundsman in the Northeast." And someone else joked, "Ghost groundsman at the Stadium of Light, the ground needs an exorcism." No one from Sky Sports or the stadium ever confirmed what it actually was, and the pundits never addressed it.
Number 5, Salem Road. This video shows a couple guys driving in a truck down a road in what looks to be like a very rural area. It's not too bright or fun. Now they're just two guys being dudes hanging out, blasting some Coldplay, whatever you do with your dudes on the weekends. Now you know a little bit more about me. All of a sudden they come across a woman dressed in white walking down the middle of the road. So they turn down their Coldplay, probably, and they swear a bunch. Obviously they're in shock. Just a woman walking down in the middle of the road in what appears to be the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden these men driving up behind her. It looks bad from both point of views, know what I mean? They stop the truck and one of them gets out to go check on her to see if she's okay, because she's walking kind of, you know, ghoulish. She's got like the ghoulish walk. Now the guy continues freaking out. He's telling them to get out of there, and the other guys don't believe him until they realize that seemingly out of nowhere this lady is now right in front of their truck. Awesome, we love phantoms. The video ends with this clip. I'm not sure who or what this lady was or what's going on here, but that's all I gotta say. One of these. Number 4, overnight break-in. This next found footage comes from a doorbell camera, one of my favorites, and it shows the terrifying moment a stranger begins trying to break into a woman's home. This is my worst fear, if I'm being honest here. She starts off by backing up and throwing her body into the window until it finally breaks. Now the stranger wasn't in any immediate danger or anything like that, but it does appear as though she may be a little bit confused about her whereabouts, which is obviously sad when you look at it. The woman whose home is obviously freaked out. More than fair. I mean, imagine this happening out of the blue, middle of Survivor finale. You're like, what's that sound? What is that? Yeah, that ought to be jarring. Eventually, a police officer showed up and spoke to the woman who claimed that her friend was in the house. Now, obviously, this was not the case, but this is why I believe she may have been a little confused as to where she was. In the end, it just so happens that alcohol had a little something to do with it, so everyone was okay. It was just a rough night. You know what I mean? Number 3. Chernobyl footage. Okay, this one comes to us from the later 1980s when there was a nuclear disaster in Chernobyl, obviously. I don't have to go into detail about this one. In April of 1986, there was an explosion and a fire taking place at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. This explosion happened when there was an issue and they were trying to begin an experiment which was set to actually make the reactor more safe, but in turn it didn't work out. Unfortunately, the way the reactor was designed placed too much responsibility in the hands of an operator. One thing led to another, and it was this huge, tragic disaster. The amount of radiation in the air caused alarms at the Forsmark nuclear power plant in Sweden. Footage I'm about to show you is just a small glimpse into what things looked like soon after this took place. I can't imagine how scary this must have been for everybody involved. Even watching it is disturbing, to be honest with you. Chernobyl today is still pretty much a ghost town, but there are people who live there. Some of them never even left in the first place. Number 2, doorbell liquor. And immediately back into the weird stuff. This was one of my favorites, I have to include it. This one's short and sweet, not much explaining to do here. Just a dude going up on a doorbell. Back in 2019, a man was caught on surveillance approaching a home in a neighborhood in Salinas, California. He doesn't say much, he just shows up and, well, like I said, starts licking the doorbell. Just goes to town on this button. Not the camera, the actual button, the actual doorbell itself. He rang the bell apparently hundreds of times. He did this for hours straight. Now the homeowner said in a following interview after seeing the footage, "Oh boy, that is weird." Yeah, see me, I mean, I would laugh hysterically, and then after I'd be like, okay, we have to move. Number 1, overnight visitor. This video was taken from a surveillance camera that was placed inside of a couple's home. Yeah, inside, not outside, in. Having a camera inside of your home isn't too common, but sometimes you're lucky you have one. Like this example. These people had one because what it caught while they were sleeping is one of the creepiest things I've ever seen in my life. When the couple woke up one day, they were unable to find a purse that they knew was in the house before they went to go to sleep, right? They're like, this is pretty much just right there, next to my chapstick. I know where my chapstick is. So they decided to check their handy security camera, and this is what they found. As it turns out, the couple fell asleep on the couch watching TV, and as they were sleeping there, a man crept in, and he was so quiet he didn't even wake them or their dog up. Yeah, he stood at the top of their stairs watching them sleep for a few minutes, which just adds another layer of, I'm gonna shit my pants, and then that's it, Bob's your uncle. I wouldn't even keep this tape. I would throw it out. This is cursed in itself. I'm glad the robber only took the purse and didn't do anything else. How scary is that?
Then there were the soldiers who saw a type of mermaid. During World War II, Japanese soldiers were stationed in the Key Islands in Indonesia and had some weird encounters with what they said were mermaids. Now, the local villagers were familiar with these creatures and called them orang-iken, which translates to manfish. Now, these creatures were described as being around 150 centimeters tall, having spikes on the spine, shoulder, and neck. They were said to have pink salmon-colored skin and a mouth that resembled a carp. Now, rather than having a fishtail, these creatures had long arms and frog-like legs, both of which had talons at the end. Now, the Japanese soldiers recorded many different sightings, saying they even saw one on land, but they mostly seemed at home in the water. For one instance, a troop of soldiers claimed to see one of these creatures jump out of the water onto a nearby rock. Now, it turned and faced the soldiers and let out a gurgling, burping noise that didn't seem to be too friendly. Then they saw another creature moving smoothly in the water towards them as fast as any fish would. Now, not knowing the intention of the creatures, the soldiers started shooting at the rocks and into the water, only to have the creatures disappear from view. Now, a sergeant named Mr. Taro spoke to the villagers and requested if any of the orang-iken were captured, dead or alive, to contact him immediately. It was soon after that the chief summoned the general and, to his astonishment, saw with his own eyes the lifeless aquatic creature. Now, he described what he saw as roughly 4 foot 9 inches tall, pinkish skin, human-looking face and limbs, spikes along its head, and a mouth like a carp. Now, this just sounds like something out of a horror movie. Absolutely terrifying. Now, fishermen don't get scared too easily, as they see a lot of scary things being out in the middle of the ocean, but I doubt any of them ever thought that they would come face to face with a mermaid. Yep, you heard that right. Some fishermen accidentally caught a mermaid. In an alarming video, it appears that some fishermen caught a mermaid in a net, and they were so shocked that they accidentally dropped it back into the water. A clearly humanoid arm with a webbed hand reached back at them from the net, as if trying to grab the men. Now, the men lean back to avoid it, and the net slips and falls back into the ocean, with the mermaid escaping and them being left with questions. Now, is this legit? I think so. A user commented this on the video, and I agree. They said this video is amazing, almost a real proof about the existence of mermaids. Notice that the camera is unsteady, and it means that the situation took them by surprise. The creature trapped in the net is powerful and so desperate to get rid of it, and its aspect cannot correspond to a human being or any other animal. Now, it's understandable that the fishermen got in a panic and let it go back into the sea, but that was just so creepy. And finally, we have another story about an Australian mermaid, except this one is alive and well. A short clip was posted online of what could be a mermaid swimming among a reef. In 2007, a diver off the coast of Australia claimed to have encountered a real-life mermaid. In the footage, we see a diver filming a school of tropical fish in an unknown reef, and in the distance we see a humanoid figure swim towards the camera. Now, it appears to be half human, half fish, with a long scale-covered tail. The enormous fins appear to propel the creature effortlessly through the water. When the clip was uploaded to the internet, it caused a speculative frenzy, as some herald the footage as strong evidence of mermaids. Now, analysts have noticed that the creature swims easily through the water without the use of its arms, and instead it uses its long fin tail to glide forwards. Now, could this diver have actually captured a real mermaid swimming in the sea? I think so. Number 5. Villa de Vecchi. Villa de Vecchi is located near Camp Como, Italy. The House of Witches dates back to 1854 to 1857, when it was built as a summer house for Count Felix de Vici. The family was only able to spend a few years there, as they had tragedy after tragedy right after it was built. First, the architect died a year after construction. Then in 1862, Count de Vici came home to discover his wife dead and his daughter missing. When he could not find her after a year of searching, he died by ending his own life. His brother then moved into the home, and his family continued to live there until World War II. Now, it has been vacant since the 1960s, and an avalanche in 2002 wiped out all the houses in the area except this one. Now, you'd think with all the tragedies surrounding the house that it would succumb to the avalanche, but no. Let me just say, that is so freaky. Now the inside of the house today is covered in dust and most notably has graffiti all over the walls. Number 4. Willard Asylum for the Chronic Insane. The Willard Asylum for the Chronic Insane is a listed building on the U.S. National Register of Historical Places, and it first opened its doors in about 1869. The campus was divided between a women's side and a men's side with a violent end and non-violent end. Administration buildings sat in the middle, and the land had originally been designated for agricultural purposes, so the hospital ran its own farm with crops grown and tended by the patients. Now patients were unconfined, able to walk about as they pleased, but there were entire buildings devoted to treatments like electroshock therapy and ice baths, as well as operating theaters and a morgue. A cemetery on the grounds features markers with numbers, no names for the thousands buried there. Now after Geraldo Rivera's 1972 expose on the deplorable conditions at Willowbrook Asylum, numbers in large institutions declined sharply. Willard Asylum discharged its final patient in 1995 and shuttered its doors for good. The building is currently rotting and decayed, housing the secrets of what the patients went through. Number 3. Bridges Asylum. Bridges Asylum originally opened in 1874 and was known as the Athens Asylum for the Insane. It had 2 wings, one for the female patients and one for the male patients. Now the most violent patients were housed at the outermost tip of each wing. By the start of the 1900s, the asylum had become dangerously overcrowded, and rumors of inhumane treatment at the hands of the overworked staff were growing. Despite this, it was not officially closed until 1993. Now some parts of the building are still in use, while other areas are completely abandoned. Now one of the scariest places in the building is the outline of a body where Margaret Shrilling died in 1979. She apparently got lost in the disused part of the hospital in the winter of 1978-79 and was not found for more than a month. When the corpse was finally removed, it left a stain that could never be washed away. It's still there today, and if you go there, you can see it, which is just haunting. Margaret is one of the many ghosts who is said to walk the asylum at night. Strange figures have been seen roaming around old floors, and others have heard disembodied voices, footsteps, and screaming. It's a scary and disgusting place, and I would never set foot in there. Number 2. El Hotel de Salto. In San Antonio del Tequendama, Colombia, a 1920s residential mansion was constructed overlooking the falls. For 60 years it operated as a hotel, and it was built in 1923 as a luxury hotel to host elite travelers visiting the area. Ordered and built by the President of Colombia and designed by architect Carlos Arturo Tapes, the hotel was a place for the richest to gather and indulge in most exceptional experiences. Now it was meant to be renovated in the 1950s, but due to pollution of the Bogota River, the project was dismissed. In the 1970s, sewage started affecting the river, so the hotel closed in the early 1990s as a result of the overwhelming pollution in the river. Now some reports state that it's the second most polluted river worldwide, as the river is full of feces, waste, chemicals, and many other toxic things. Over the years, the hotel began to deteriorate until it was left deserted altogether. Today, the hotel is said to be haunted, and this is owing to the fact that many people have used its location as a place to end their life. It's also said that Muisca Indians used to jump into the falls to evade capture from Spanish conquerors. The myth is that those who jumped would turn into eagles and soar to freedom, and sadly this appeared to most wanderers, who would then leap to their death. This place is just full of tragedy. And coming in at number 1 is the Diplomat Hotel. The Dominican Hill Retreat House was built in 1913 atop a hill in the famed Philippine city of Pines. With the outbreak of World War II, it became a camp for refugees escaping the Japanese army, but it was eventually invaded. It was once occupied by refugees, nuns, and soldiers, but it was bombed by the American Armed Forces. People were taken advantage of and mistreated, tormented, and had their heads cut off. In the 1970s, the Wharton building was converted to the sophisticated and beautiful Diplomat Hotel, but the hotel was shut down by the 80s and left abandoned. The deserted, deteriorating building became infamous for being one of the most haunted ruins in the country. Currently, the old hotel is now under rehabilitation by the national government as a heritage and nature park. Now, many people have seen headless apparitions at night and reported hearing screams, cries, banging on doors, and other strange and desperate noises.
Starting things off at number 10, we have The Purge. purge. I think the more footage I see from Ring doorbells, my fear of the dark has only intensified. Those things never seem to catch anything nice. There's a Reddit user who further made me want to never leave my house in the dark. The user that goes by the fabulous username of Fat and Depressed shared that between the hours of 12 AM and 4 AM, he got 4 notifications on his phone that his doorbell had detected a visitor. Immediately upon seeing those, I would absolutely be unsettled. When he checked the doorbell's camera the first 3 times, there was nothing. He went on to say that he was thinking it was some sort of stray dog or cat or animal of some kind setting off the motion sensor. That was until the 4th notification came along. This time when he checked the camera, a face showed up on the screen. He also posted a photo of said face, and oh man, not what you want looking back at you at 4 AM. It looked like a guy in his 50s with a face that appeared to be painted white. It could have just been the night lighting on the camera, but his face was white. He also looked like he was wearing black eyeliner all the way around his eyes, and he was standing with his hands behind his back. It seriously looked like a scene from The Purge. Number 9. Clowns. Remember the creepy clown epidemic in like 2014 that had people dressing like clowns and making us all scared to leave our houses? Well, you can imagine the chilling security footage that came with that phase. One video in particular comes from none other than Jacksonville, Florida, and whether it was a prank or not, I don't like the video regardless. The footage comes from a home security camera and it shows the porch of a house with an extremely creepy looking clown standing there looking at the camera. The clown is dressed in an all-white clown jumpsuit, white face, and some clown makeup not suitable for a children's birthday party. For most of the video, the clown just stands there staring at the camera, only moving slightly to tilt his head further to the side. Then the clown decided to take the poor homeowner's pumpkin and start punching it quite aggressively, I have to say. I'm sure when they woke up and saw that video, they wish they never had. Without the security camera, they would have just noticed their pumpkin smashed, but no, thanks to technology, they got to watch a creepy clown stare into their eyes while doing it. I think if I saw this video on my porch, I would be moving out right away. Number 8. Where's the exit? User Dr. Beso on Reddit shared a story that just might send a shiver up your spine. He said that he worked as a doctor in a UK hospital, and on a particularly quiet night shift, the nurses told him a story of another doctor at the hospital. The story went that the doctor was running to a crash call when a woman stopped him to ask which way the front entrance was. The doctor directed the woman and kept hustling to the patient. When he got there, he said it was the woman who had stopped him to ask for directions. The woman ended up not making it in the end, but they just had to check the security footage. The whole encounter was caught on the cameras, except the story told on the footage has a slight difference to the one the doctor shared. The camera showed him running, stop midway down the hall, and gesture to the exit while saying something. The only problem was there was no woman on the video. I don't even know how you could explain that one. I hope they gave that doctor a nice long weekend after that. At number 7, stolen phone. This person shared a story that started as a stolen phone and ended in a creepy mystery. He said that they had to call the cops while his girlfriend's cell phone was stolen off the porch of their apartment. He explained that the apartment is a room sectioned off on the first floor of an old mansion with a fenced-in porch. When the officer arrived, he asked to see the surveillance tapes, and the maintenance man let them come along to help the cops with the timestamps to narrow down the footage. Unfortunately, they did not see the person who took his girlfriend's phone. That being said, right about the time they expected to see someone grab the phone, they did see a man. Apparently it was not a resident, as there are only 4 and they all know each other in the building. The man appeared to be running frantically from something, and at full force he entered the only door of the building and never left. Even after over 24 hours of footage. I would have simply left all my belongings behind and found a new apartment after that. Number 6. Out of thin air. Etchy shared on Reddit that he was one of the people going through footage from security cameras outside of Pulse nightclub before, during, and after the horrible tragedy that happened there in 2016. While I'm sure all of the footage was quite disturbing, he also claimed to have found something a little supernatural. He said there were so many sad and disturbing things to be seen. The strange one, however, was a wounded man that appeared out of nowhere. Apparently the mystery man waved his hands for help and cops came over to carry him to safety. Etchy shared that he tried numerous times to rewind and find where the man came from, but he was either just there or he wasn't. He didn't crawl to where he ended up, he just appeared. I bet anything that he was sitting with that footage for ages, going back and forth, frame by frame, slowly driving himself crazy. I don't know how he ever stopped rewatching it. I think I would have just become consumed by the mystery of it all.
Number 5. Number 3. The Clip. This is a video that's titled Clip 95 MP4, and after watching it, honestly, I'm good with the other 94, to be honest. I wish I could explain to you guys what's going on in this video, but Again, like the rest of them, I have no idea. That's why I included them. They're really baffling. It's a weirdly put together VHS tape, montage, whatever, that features some strange looking people in masks, a weird thing that maybe looks like a clock, and then a whole bunch of, it's just bad vibes, you know, Chris? Just bad vibes going on. It's just not the mood for us. I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to find out, again, like the rest. I don't know what's going on with the clock symbolism here either. It's very specific. I feel like I'm late watching this video. Like I have like the anxiety going on now. Number 2. The chair. Not to be confused with the WWE wrestling move, the chair. This is way less fun, this one. I grew up watching the big comfy couch. I love comfy couches and comfy chairs. I'll sit on both all day long. A rocking chair as an adult, I'll be asleep in minutes. I love this. Except for when it's haunted and it just rocks by itself. Then in that case, I don't want to buy that, no thank you. This is a video of exactly that. It's a chair that is said to have been purchased, used just a couple of days prior, and let me tell you, I hope they kept a receipt. My grandma had a rocking chair, and she said that it would move on its own from time to time. Isn't that terrifying? My grandma told me that when I was like 8. And finally, number 1, VHS for sale. This VHS tape was found at an estate sale that was being held in a barn. Now the person who uploaded this tape found them in 10 boxes that they had purchased, amongst, other things such as records, rusted tools, old paint cans, just borderline garbage, and they're like, ah yes, I'll paint it a different color and sell it for $1 more. And then, sure. This video shows somebody walking through some sort of mildly wooded area in the daytime, which, okay, yeah, fine, that's all great and dandy, but then it cuts to a night scene immediately, and that's when the uncomfortable feelings start to rise up. That's when I feel like I'm gonna throw up on my keyboard watching this video. I have absolutely no idea what the white thing being dragged is, but hey, guess what? I don't want to find out.
Coming in at number 10 is Bali Hotel. Graphic designer Paulina Achalute went viral on TikTok in 2022 after exploring a completely abandoned hotel in Bali. In a series of TikToks that have racked up almost 30 million views in total, Paulina and her partner explored the empty resort with 266 rooms left in near perfect condition. The video begins with a before and after shot showing just how eerie the site is. Paulina has not been able to find any history on the hotel, but believes it was suddenly abandoned around 2020 and no one seems to know why. She said the last reviews of the hotel guests were written in 2020, so I guess it became abandoned throughout that year. The place was completely open, there were no signs of closure, no fence, or anything like that. If anything, at the beginning we thought it was a functioning hotel, as we noticed 2 helmets placed on the ground by its reception, so we thought someone is still in the hotel. Now the footage shows different areas of the venue, including the entrance, which has been taken over by nature, as well as various rooms, dining spaces, and trinkets that Paulina discovered. Now some rooms are still made up for guests who will never arrive, with furniture, towels, leaflets, and toilet paper in place. Later, Paulina and her partner even found plates with half-eaten food on the table, as well as documents in the staff room. Now this is truly haunting. It's like everyone just magically disappeared. Number 9. Pripyat Amusement Park. The Pripyat Amusement Park is an abandoned amusement park located in Pripyat, Ukraine. It was to have its grand opening on May 1st, 1986, in time for the May Day celebrations, but these plans were cancelled on April 26th when the Chernobyl disaster occurred only a few kilometers away. Several sources report that the park was open for a short time on April 27th to locals, but they were forced to evacuate as reports of dangerously high levels of radiation in the area started to emerge, something inhabitants and authorities were unaware of the day of the nuclear incident. Now, radiation levels around the park vary. The liquidators washed radiation into the soil after the helicopters carrying radioactive materials used the grounds as a landing strip, so concreted areas are less radioactive. Today, the park remains untouched and the unused rides are disintegrating or consumed with mold. Many explorers go to this abandoned place to see what could have been. Number 8. Lennox Castle. Lennox Castle in Scotland was built in 1812 for John Lennox Casside Lennox. He was supposedly a distant relative of the Clan Casside, who were descendants of some of the most notable ancient earls of Lennox. The castle was home to the important Scottish family until it was converted into an asylum for the mentally ill in the 1930s and a hospital during World War II, when the existing mentally ill patients were transferred to other buildings on the property. Apparently, fights among the patients were common, and in one particularly bad fight, much of the staff, along with uninvolved patients, ran from the hospital. The rioters were locked inside, and in the end, they significantly damaged the ward. Now, the hospital was vacated by the 1980s and officially closed in 2002. There's now talk of converting the building into flats, but for now it lies abandoned, decaying, as there was a fire there in 2008. Number 7. Linwood Hall. Linwood Hall is a neoclassical revival mansion in Elkins Park, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. It's the 12th largest historic house in the US, and it features a whopping 110 rooms, like a ballroom that can accommodate 1,000 guests. It once held the most important private art collection of European masterpieces in the country. It was built in the 1900s for Peter Errol Brown Winneter, a businessman who became wealthy from investing in public transit and meat packing, among other things. Now, he had 3 sons, one of whom died on the Titanic, and he lived in the house until he died in 1915. His son Joseph inherited the mansion and lived there until he died in 1943, and no surviving members of the family, even his children, wanted to take on the responsibility of the place. By 1945, his estate was valued at $98,368,058. A developer later tried to sell Linwood, but the only taker was a fundamentalist preacher, Carl McIntyre, who bought the home in 1952 for $192,000. Now, it went into foreclosure in 2006 when the McIntyre organization couldn't pay the mortgage, and it lies abandoned to this day. Now, I can't imagine exploring this place as it is huge. There are still tables and chairs set up, as well as furniture, and the inside of the pool lays filled with debris. Number 6. Lai Family Mansion. Built in 1929, the Meigong Ghost House, aka the Lai Family Mansion, is a freaky place with a heartbreaking history. Located in the Taiwanese countryside, it's been abandoned since the 1950s when the family fled abruptly. Now, there's plenty of stories for why the family left, but the main story is that the family's maid was having an affair with her employer, Lai Rongyu, and when the secret became public, she died after jumping down a well. A few years later, the property was occupied by members of the Kuomintang of China, KMT, many of whom were also thought to have died by ending their own lives, which exacerbated its reputation as haunted. Today, it sits untouched with nature and strange paintings overtaking the outside of the building.
At number 5, frozen footage. Reddit user Trudenter shared a spooky work story that would make it even harder to get out of bed and head to work. He said that he worked at a place that required people to be there 24 hours a day. He was working the night shift and said the security on the building was pretty good. Bars on the window, multiple locked doors, the usual no one can get in without authorization setup. He said he was finishing up his shift when he heard a door close. After checking the cameras, he saw a person walking towards the room he was in. Thinking it was someone early for their shift, he waited, but when no one entered the room, the hairs on his neck started to rise. He said it not being a huge building, he would go and find the person from the tape. He came up empty-handed, but noticed a fire door had shut. Trudenter said he went to look back at the footage but didn't have the password. He then said he sat with his spine tingling until the morning shift came in. He told his coworker what had happened and he went home. When he asked them what they found on the footage, they said it showed the fire door closing, but then the video froze for about an hour. The next thing the camera caught was him reopening the door. Talk about shivers, I would never work the night shift alone again. At number 4, injured intruder. Just Stoic on Reddit shared the story of how she had no idea there was an intruder trying to break into her house until seeing the footage her home's camera caught of it happening. She said that she was living with her godparents at the time. Her godfather had returned from work at about 6 p.m. and asked why there was blood near the pool in the backyard. Just Stoic said she'd been in the room right next to the pool the whole time, so she had no idea what her godfather was on about. They both pulled up the security footage from the day, and sure enough, they figured out the answers. The footage showed a man jumping the fence in broad daylight, cutting himself on their barbed wire above the fence, and frantically looking for a way into the house through the back. The user said she had been maybe 10 feet from the intruder at one point and did not hear a thing. Scary to think what could have happened if a window had been left open. Dang, not even safe from people trying to break in with barbed wire around your house. Number 3, bike be gone. One Reddit user shared his scary security footage story, and it's definitely a head scratcher. The user explained he used to have an apartment near his office building, which was kind of secluded from the rest of the city's commercial district. Anyway, he said that he sold his apartment and before moving leaving, he left his bike chained to the building's bike rack. He figured the bike would be okay in what he called the no man's land for a few days. Then in the middle of the week one day, he came to the office and noticed that the bike rack was completely empty. Since his office was closed, he asked the IT guy to watch the security footage in order to catch the bike thief in action. The Reddit user said as he and the IT guy watched, they saw people leaving the office the night before, bike is still there, they kept watching, and all of a sudden the bike was gone. He said we slowed the tape down and literally it was bike there and then poof, gone. The user then went on to say he assumed his bike got taken to the upside down. If that happened to me, I don't think I would ever sleep again knowing my bike just vanished into thin air. Number 2. School prank or poltergeist. There is a secondary school in Cork, Ireland called Deer Park Christian Brothers School. In October 2017, they released footage from a school security camera that caught some sort of ghost causing a ruckus in the hallway. The video shows a door being slammed open, lockers shaking, locker doors opening, and even the wet floor sign gets thrown around. The video was a viral hit, earning coverage from a wide variety of outlets, with the school's deputy principal telling them he had no idea how things were moving in the video. Wolf said, "We couldn't understand how this had occurred. If it's a prank, it's very well done. After watching the video myself, I'm not even sure how a person could have pulled off the video either." To point even more fingers to it being a ghost, the school is built on a site known as Green Gallows, where in the 19th century criminals would go to be punished. And in the 19th century they weren't just throwing them in cells. Was it a tech-savvy student pulling a prank or the angry spirit of a criminal? And at number 1, ominous elevator ride. You may already know the story of the Stiuso Hotel and Elisa Lam. You may have already seen the scary footage of her right before her passing, and it's unsettling. Basically, guests at the hotel in Los Angeles complained of low water pressure in their rooms. This caused employees to head up to the roof and check out the water tank. Instead of finding faulty wiring or a broken pipe, they found the body of poor Elisa Lam. She was a young woman traveling on her own. Police were obviously called to investigate, and what they found on the security tape is creepy. The footage she appeared in before the incident was from an elevator, and something was just not right about it all. In it, Lam seemingly speaks to someone, presses all the buttons, and peeks her head out almost as though looking for a person she was scared of. The video has been dissected by law enforcement and conspiracy theorists, but we still have no idea what really happened to Lam. The footage is really ominous, and it only added more confusion as to how she ended up in that water tank.
So what is this thing hovering in the sky? This footage is from a live news broadcast in Rio Branco, Brazil. On February 9th, 2009, TV Gazeta showed up to capture what witnesses described as a colorful object hovering over the city. Whatever this thing was, it changed color multiple times, flashing from blue to red to white. There were more than 25 witnesses that night who watched as this thing hovered in the sky for more than 2 hours. Then it moved from east to south and afterwards south to west. Pretty strange. Certainly doesn't look like a plane or satellite to me, and not that a drone would be totally unheard of in 2009. They certainly weren't as widely used as they are now though. Till this day, we still don't know exactly what this thing was. Alright, this one's pretty ridiculous, but I do love me some possession videos. Always fun to see what weird noises these evil spirits force out of people's mouths. Back in 2016, something pretty strange happened on a Thai talk show. A model came on the show and told everyone that she had picked up a ghost while on vacation in the city of Rayong the year before. She said this ghost was a pop, a type of spirit in Thai culture. It's known for having an uncontrollable hunger. At first, she just calmly explained what had happened to her. You know, ghost got inside my body somehow. Well, and then right in the middle of the interview, the pop just had to embarrass this poor woman on live television. To be fair though, she should have seen this coming. She'd been dealing with the thing's antics for a whole year at this point. Suddenly she seems to switch, like something else is talking through her. She started speaking in a different voice and just couldn't seem to snap out of it. No matter how much the hosts pushed her to stop, they kept telling the spirit to leave her alone, but it refused, making threats like, "Don't mess with me," which probably sounds a lot cooler in Thai. Then one of the hosts pulls out a necklace with a Buddha pendant. As soon as he held it up, she freaks out, screaming and recoiling in terror. Very loudly, I might add. I had to turn down the volume almost all the way because I was worried everyone was going to hear female screams through my headphones and that I'd be kindly asked to leave the office. Eventually, the host puts the necklace on her though, and just like that, she seems to come back to her senses. The clip went viral in Thailand and racked up millions of views.